Hi, guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Vijeta, and today we shall be continuing with our questions of people, development, and environment. Last time we discussed how nitrogen the is the gas which is present in the air in the maximum amount, and how different gases have different percentages which actually help in habitation on Earth. Now, the process of changing the solid into a liquid by supplying heat is called as melting. A very simple question, but sometimes, rarely though, they ask these kind of questions. Because you see, sometimes it's like you don't expect a simple question and then they just put something very easy into your hands. So that is something, and melting occurs when the internal energy of solid increases by supplying heat or pressure. So that is the process of melting, when the solid is changed into liquid when the temperature or heat is given, when the temperature rises or heat is supplied to it. The use of CFCs, insulators, aerosol propellants, and refrigerants. See, chlorofluorocarbons are used to manufacture insulators, refrigerants, aerosol propellants, and some solvents as well in various industries. So, CFCs do have a major role, although they are largely responsible for increasing pollution. But you see, they have their uses as well. Which of the following gas destroys the chlorophyll present in the plant leaves? That's SO2, sulfur dioxide. It actually causes bleaching of plants and thereby destroying the chlorophyll pigment which is present in plant leaves. So it is highly responsible for that bleaching. Which of the following are the negative health effects of noise pollution? Hypertension, hearing loss, and stress and headache. See, noise pollution is the presence of excessive amounts of noises that affect the environment in a disruptive manner. Some of the common ill effects, like hypertension, hearing loss, stress, headache, which subsequently lead to anxiety, depression, and other kind of triggers, it actually impacts your mental health in a lot of ways. So noise pollution goes a long way in affecting the health of not only human beings but even animals, because see, their sensitivity of ears or hearing is different from humans. So some sounds that we may not hear, or some sounds that are bearable to us, may be too much for them. That is why during Diwali or even not even in Diwali, even during the wedding season, actually, because Diwali is a one day festival, but during wedding season, when for 2 3 months or 1 month subsequently weddings are going on or large celebrations are going on, partying or all those things, and firing and everything goes on, animals do get affected, especially birds and stuff like that. So noise pollution is actually a huge deal for the health of humans as well as animals. Which of the following is present in the first trophic level in the food chain? That's green plants. See, the food chain is the flow of energy that we know from the lower trophic level to the higher trophic level through a single direct route in a food chain. Now, producers contain all the green plants, and which is the initial stage of a food chain, which is the producers, which are the green plants. An extensive number of chains interlinked in an ecosystem forms a food web. A food web is the natural interconnection of food chains and a graphical representation of what eats what in an ecological community. So, interlinking of a lot of food chains make a food web. Which of the following element found in water is responsible for cancer? That's arsenic. Also a very very well known poison in Agatha Christie's novels. The desirable drinking water standard for total dissolved solids is actually 500 milligrams per liter, which is the TDS, which is the desirable one. Now, dissolved solids are organic or inorganic compounds such as salts, heavy metals like arsenic. Now, the problem of arsenic in India is primarily due to overexploitation of groundwater in affected areas. Permitted level of arsenic in drinking water is 0.05 mg per liter as per WHO. However, the amount of arsenic is increasing, especially in places where groundwater level is declining day by day. So that is something, and it's causing not even cancer, but other kind of diseases, other kind of allergies, other kind of problems, which is affecting individuals in the long run, and even causing some autoimmune diseases, giving rise to autoimmune diseases, genetic problems, genetic mutations, and stuff like that. So, a lot of problems that are happening due to these pollutants are not visible to us. However, they are slowly creeping up on our in our DNAs, and they're changing a lot of us, our even our progeny. They are going to have more and more problems, and they are affecting our intelligence as well, all these capacities. So pollution is actually affecting us in a lot of ways, at a lot of levels of which we don't even know about. So it is not something to be taken lightly. Which of these are also known as detrivores, decomposers? See, detritivores or decomposers are organisms which break down dead organic matter like bacteria and fungi. So people can ask these questions. Detritivores, it's a different term, new term. Identify the air pollutants in the urban area which irritate the eyes and also the respiratory tract of human beings. That's surface ozone. Surface ozone, which is found in troposphere, is a major eye and lung irritant. Okay? And other compounds also cause irritation. However, the impact caused by surface ozone is more. It's actually more. Ground level ozone affects the respiratory system more. So there you have it. Surface ozone is something that causes eye problems and respiratory tract issues in human beings. What is bad ozone? Ozone in troposphere. See, ozone occurs in two layers of the atmosphere. First is the stratosphere, which is the good ozone, which protects life on Earth. However, troposphere, where the bad ozone exists, is harmful to humans, and it actually damages the crops and the trees, thereby affecting the food chain, the food web, and existence of a lot of other organisms on the planet who are directly dependent on the food chain, on the regularity of food chain in order to survive, which is the reason why a lot of plants and a lot of trees have become extinct, a lot of organisms have become extinct, and environment is suffering because of the lack of those trees, those organisms, because they are not there to balance out the other organisms food habits. Therefore, we are having an excess or a shortage of a lot of things in a lot of geographical areas, and a lot of temperature issues are happening across the Antarctica, Antarctica, and the polar bear issue that we are facing, the glacial ice which is melting. All of these things are actually because of that bad ozone, which is affecting uh, a lot of things: food chain, food webs, extinction of organisms, temperature of Earth. So, that is something. Clouds are formed in which layer of atmosphere? Troposphere. Troposphere is the lowermost layer of atmosphere. Most types of clouds and weather phenomenon like rain, lightning, thunder, etc. occur in this layer. So, there you have it. What are natural air pollutants? Unburnt fuel, carbon monoxide, ash, and dust. See, carbon dioxide is a natural component of air. In its normal concentration, it's not an air pollutant. But large scale burning of fossil fuels increases the amount of carbon dioxide in atmosphere, and thereby it leads to global warming. So, there you have it. Smog is a mixture of smoke, fog, and sulfur dioxide. See, there are two types of smog. One is the classical smog, and the other is the photochemical smog. Classical smog or classical fog is a mixture of smoke, fog, and sulfur dioxide. However, photochemical smog is formed by the action of sunlight on unsaturated hydrocarbons like volatile organic compounds and nitrogen oxides. So, you see a lot of photochemical smog which starts to occur in October in Lucknow region, in the in if you go to Chinhat or Faizabad side, there is a lot of photochemical smog there because of there are industries and which generate these gases, and there are not enough trees there. So yeah, that is something. Which of the following methods would be most appropriate in reducing acid rain and acid deposition problems? Reducing use of fossil fuels. See, oxides of nitrogen and sulfur in air are the major cause of acid rain. SO2 and NO2, which is sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide, reach atmosphere via volcanic eruptions and mostly through fossil fuel combustion. So, if these gases stop, reduce even in the atmosphere, acid rain would reduce, and these gases could reduce only when fossil fuel combustion is lessened. You can't, of course, you can't control the volcanic eruptions. They will be present in the natural form in some amounts. However, fossil fuel combustion increases their amount and causes problems. High concentration of ozone in the low atmosphere is desirable. That's a false statement, as we discussed. Ozone in low atmosphere or surface ozone is harmful to humans. It damages crops and even trees. And it's also a potent eye and respiratory irritant, as we discussed. Ozone present in the atmosphere protects the living organisms on the surface of Earth from harmful UV radiation of the sun. See, ozone present in the atmosphere, which is stratosphere, shields Earth from harmful UV radiation and protects life on Earth. It protects us from cancer, skin cancer, and things like that. So, the ozone that is present on the stratosphere is actually good, but the lower atmosphere ozone is bad. Environmental education encompasses the issues of resource consumption, environmental degradation, biodiversity loss, climate change, and its impact. See, environmental education is a process that allows individuals to explore environmental issues, engage in problem solving, and take action to improve the environment. Environmental education encompasses the issues of resource consumption, how we consume the resources, how we balance out the consumption of the resources and not fall into excesses, environmental degradation, how we see and how we judge our actions which cause the degradation of environment, and how the measures we can take, the alternatives that we can take to reduce it. Biodiversity loss, this is also something we have to see. The animals that are on the verge of becoming extinct, the endangered species, how can we prevent that, what steps could be taken, and doing case studies of the organisms and the animals, even the crops which became extinct, what caused them, what factors were there, how can we change those factors, how could we influence those factors. That all comes under biodiversity loss. Climate change and its impact, same thing, how the climate has changed from various years. We can do a case study, we can you know get we can do this kind of a referral. We can look back 20-30 years back, the atmosphere, how the temperature of the earth has risen, how it has given rise to various diseases in human beings. We can all correlate these things, we can all study those things, and we can all come up with better measures, with better resources, with better alternatives, because we have technology right now, and we can use that technology in order to you know save the environment, in order to preserve the environment, in order to get more sustainable resources at our disposal. So that is something that would be done, should be done, in order to increase our life expectancy and our life quality, actually. So not only luxury, but getting in the environment on the right track will actually improve life, not for only the rich ones, but also for the underprivileged people, the people who are homeless, or the people who live on streets. Their life is also endangered by the pollution that we are causing. um, that is something, because most of us live in homes, sheltered homes, but there are a lot of people, not even people, even animals, street dogs, all of these organisms are actually endangered because of the pollution, because of the atmospheric changes that are being caused due to the excesses of people, the more privileged people in some ways. So that is something to be thought about. Supreme Court was directed in judgment given in 1991 to make the subject environmental study compulsory in the college curricula. So it was 1991, and the decision to create a 6 module course on environmental studies was taken by Supreme Court in 1991 after a public interest litigation. According to court order, UGC had to prescribe a course on environment as a mandatory subject in colleges. Before that, there was no environmental study, but after 1991, Supreme Court gave the judgment and UGC had to subsequently get it done. Long stretches of major rivers of India have very low biochemical oxygen demand, or BOD values. That's a false statement. In rivers, oxygen is added into water by diffusion from air due to its turbulent and rapid flow. C. Higher BOD indicates more oxygen is required, which is less for oxygen demanding species to feed on, and signifies low water quality. Inversely, low BOD means less oxygen is being removed from the water, so water is generally purer. That's right. Because low BOD means that less oxygen is being removed from the water, which means that the water is pure. Long stretches of major rivers of India have very high BOD values. So that is why the first statement is false. And subsequently, dissolved oxygen is the oxygen dissolved in the river water. The river gains oxygen from the atmosphere through the aerating action of wind or turbulence, and from plants through photosynthesis. Because there is a higher concentration of oxygen in the atmosphere than water, oxygen diffuses into the surface of the river from the atmosphere. So that is something. A lot of people get confused with low BOD and high BOD. Actually, low BOD is good and high BOD is bad. Okay, just keep that in mind. So, with this, I conclude today's lecture. I hope you liked it. Like, share, subscribe to my channel. And thank you for listening. Thank you for your patience. I will meet you all in the next video. Thank you.